Good evening and welcome back into Astros Recap. It is exactly 10:30 p.m. June the 9th, 2019, as the Astros have wrapped up another week in the regular season. I think that's 11 weeks. I think last week I said 12, so I was way off there, but they have completed 11 weeks of baseball as we're now into June, 9 days in, and very good week. They went 5-2. As I signed off last week, I believe I predicted or hoped for a 5-2 record at the very least. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, if you win your series, I take a 5-2 week every week if you could get it. 4-2 if you're playing 6, things like that. Next week they have a 5-game week, so it's kind of short 2-game set with Milwaukee, and then they go out on the road, I believe, and play, let's see here, they'll play Toronto. They'll stay at home, though, so they'll be home for all 5 games. But we're going to talk about June 3rd through the 9th here. 4-game set with Seattle, in which they took 3 of 4 and taking 2 of 3, coming back home playing Baltimore. So, pretty good week. I could go game by game, or I could just sort of give you a recap. A few things. Winning on Monday, very low stress 4-2 game. They put up 3 in the first, which included a Robinson Chirinos home run. So they were well on their way. Corbin Martin did struggle, walked a lot of hitters. I don't even think he pitched into the 4th inning. In fact, Framber Valdez came into the bullpen to get him through. I think Framber went 4 innings to really bridge that gap to get to. I think Presley got the save there. They had played Oakland, and actually I didn't bring up a whole lot when it comes to this A series the prior week, but they had a 14-inning game, I believe, back on Sunday. So, the bullpen was hurting a little bit, so Framber, getting through 4 innings to really get us into the 8th inning there was a big help. But yes, so Presley got the save. He, had a few hiccups here and there. It was a 3 up, 3 down. All 3 balls were hard hit, just in the right spot for us. So, Presley's a guy. Bullpen had been a little shaky. They had been worked quite a bit, and I'll talk more about that as we get into further down the week here. They did send Corbin Martin down directly after that game, and they brought up Raymond Goujon, who didn't last but 4 or 5 days because he got sent down yesterday. Because he was terrible in two outings out of the bullpen. So he's done, and we'll get to sort of the corresponding move here in just a minute. But they also won game 2 of that series against Seattle. They were actually down. Goujon did find himself in this game. We were leading 3-4-1, and he came in and gave up a bases clearing double to Daniel Vogelbach, which blew the game, the lead. I believe Miley was in line to get the win there and blew that, but the offense came back. We won the game 11-5, so we really put it on them late. But they were up, 4-1 in the bottom half of the 6th when Goujon gave it up. And then we put up 3 in the 7th, 4 more in the 8th. So the offense without people like Springer, Correa, Bregman are still finding ways to get it done. Diaz is the other guy, and of course McHugh and Max Stassi are the other 2. So 6 altogether still in the DL. No real news. Hoping that some of these people will go out under a rehab assignment. Correa is probably the furthest away when it comes to all of them, but we'll just not a lot of news on just trying to get them healthy enough to play. And they're doing baseball activities, I guess. Not a lot of news. We just got to work with what we got right now. So people like Derek Fisher, Miles Straw, Garrett Stubbs, a few others they've called up. So Jack Mayfield, just trying to grind out the wins. That's the best way I can put it. But, I mean, yeah, you really think about Chicago winning 2 of 3 there, sweeping Oakland, taking 3 of 4 against the Mariners. They really haven't lost a series since losing these guys. In fact, they've won 10 of their last 11 series. The only one they lost, they split against Chicago a few weeks back. So they've been playing well. They've still found ways to get it done. Just kind of proves the depth and how well. I hope we can continue to win. Just continue to ride this as long as we possibly can. Hope we get these guys back. But anyway, getting a little off topic there. So they win that 11-5. Wednesday was the game they lost, and for some reason they lost 14-1. So they got absolutely murdered. Peacock pitched that game, only gave up 2 runs. He got through, I think, 6 innings, and I don't necessarily know if I agree. I mean, I could sit here and talk about A.J. Hinch and the way he manages his bullpen, but he didn't want to use anybody to that bullpen. He wanted to save it. I realized they had 4 more games in the week, no off days. They had been overworked, so he decided, I'm going to use Gutjuan, who clearly is terrible. In fact, like I said, he gave up, 3 runs in the game prior, so they're going to throw him back out there, and this time, as I pull up the box, he pitched a third, giving up 3 earned. So he's been terrible, absolutely. 13.50 ERA, and that goes up, as you'll realize in a minute. Then using Brady Rogers for 2 full innings, and he gave up 8 earned, so he got lit up, and they lost 14-1. Didn't have a chance. In fact, Tyler White pitched the final 2/3 of that game just to keep the bullpen and save it for where it is. But in a 2-1 game where you're playing Seattle, a team you've beat up on pretty well, I don't know. I think that I might have used somebody else. There's a few guys in that bullpen I think you could have used that weren't overworked. But all in all, the bullpen has been they've been taxed, so it was tough. And then losing that game, that's just one you just kind of roll over. Just it's one game, and then you come back on Thursday, and this was the game that went 14 innings. Did eventually win 8-7. Another questionable decision by A.J. Hinch, pulling Verlander with 1 out in the 7th. We were up 5-1, but pulled Verlander with 1 out. Had thrown like 94 pitches, I believe. And in the previous spot, he threw like 114 or something, or right around there. So I don't know if Verlander told him something. I think AJ went out there to talk to him, and then he made the decision. So maybe Verlander said something that sort of tipped his hand, or the decision of AJ Hinch. But Will Harris came in and gave up the inherited runners plus 1 of his own to make it 5-4. They tied it in the 9th. I mean, I look at the bullpen here. They all gave up runs. So, I mean, let's see if I can figure this out. So Harris came in, like I said, gave up 3 runs. 2 were credited to Verlander's line, 1 of his own. Presley came in. He got a hold, but did give up a run. Harris also credited with a hold. That's a stupid stat when you think about it. I mean, if you're up 8-1 and give up 6 runs, you can get credit with a hold. So those stats are pretty stupid. Osuna blew the save, giving up a run of his own in the 9th. We take the lead in the top half of the 10th. Rondon comes in. Of course, he does what he does, blows a save. And then you get Davinsky for 2, or Josh James for 2 innings, walking 3, but worked into and out of a lot of damage without allowing any runs. Davinsky gets the win, throwing 2 innings of his own. So you used 6 people out of that bullpen. The only people you didn't use was, let's see. So you didn't use Brady Rogers, if he was still on the team at this point, but I think he was. Brady Rogers and Raymond Gutjuan. And I remember telling myself, the longer this game went, the more I was concerned, because of the fact that they only had those 2 left, and after they got lit up 2 days, or the day earlier, it wasn't going to work in our favor. I could just see it coming, but it was nice to get the win there, taking 3 of 4. Long plane flight back home. They do win on Friday. Not a very good game. They were down 3-0 early. But getting home runs from Reddick and Kemp tied it. They won it walk-off fashion there in the ninth. Chirinos RBI double on a play where I never actually saw Yuli Gurriel sliding into home plate. I never saw his hand touch the plate, but apparently the umpire saw it better than anybody else, and we got the win there. I mean, the ball came in and the catcher dropped it, so I didn't see a tag either. So I don't know how you call that play, or I see no tag, but I also never see the player hit home plate or touch it. So that was a weird game, but I'll take the win. I'll take any win you can get when you get injuries like this. So then on Saturday, this was a classic example of what things might look like from time to time with the injuries that they do have. I don't like to make excuses for injuries, but this is something you can expect from time to time. Hopefully they're few and far between, but losing, scoring 1 run, and Valdez, who is now in the spot of Corbin Martin. Even before that, it was Colin McHugh. So that 3 spot in the rotation is something they got to figure out. But he did pitch well. I think he went 7, gave up 1 run. Harris gave up 1, and Guduan, that was the last of him, giving up 2. It's been terrible. So, yeah. But, yeah, the offense was just non-existent. And losing to Baltimore, who's a team that is not good. They're one of the worst in all of baseball, if not the worst. So, losing that game, this one was important to get. And before the game, actually after last night's game, they brought up Yordan Alvarez, which we've all been waiting for, and sent down Raymond Guduan. Thank you very much. In fact, I would have sent down Guduan and played with 24 because he was so terrible. But we're all waiting on Yordan Alvarez, and he actually hit a home run today. So it was kind of shaping up a lot like Saturday's game in the sense that they really couldn't get anything going offensively early with Dylan Bundy for pitching for the Orioles. But Yordan hit a home run, the runner on, opposite way onto the balcony by the Phillips 66 home run pump. So no cheap shot. It gave us 2 runs. We did score 2 more. One was on a bloop single by Josh Reddick. Other was on a sac fly by Yuli Gurriel. Win the game 4-0. So Wade Miley was outstanding. Went 7 innings. And Ryan Presley came in. So Miley loaded the bases with nobody out in that 7th inning. Got pulled, and Presley worked himself out of it. Got a ground ball force at home there, and 2 fly balls got him out of the inning. So Miley's ERA is all the way down to 3.14. So that was good. Rundown pitched a scoreless 8th. We know how I feel about him, but he did get the job done there. And they brought in Josh James with the 4-0 lead. He walked 2 hitters with 2 outs, so they brought in Osuna to get the final out, get the save. So the bullpen, we didn't use a lot on Friday or Saturday to try to get them some rest. Off day tomorrow, much needed off day for that bullpen. AJ's really trying hard to manage their innings because after the Seattle series, they really looked tired, overworked. So didn't use, Friday. They also called up, so they sent down Brady Rogers after Thursday's game in Seattle and called up CNL Perez. Who's the lefty that needs to be on this team? Valdez was in the bullpen as a lone lefty. Now he's in the rotation. So they had Guduan there for about 4 or 5 days. Bring up CNL Perez. He really helped because the game on Friday went extra innings. And he threw 3 scoreless and got the win. So the musical chairs of left-handed relievers in the bullpen right now. CNL Perez is winning this, and I think he'll continue to get time in the bullpen as the lone lefty. So those are some of the moves. I do remember last week talking about how I didn't really want to get into giving you necessarily my take on a lot of these players that were called up just because the sample size was so small. Now I think I can do it a little bit better, and I can also give you some numbers. So give me just 1 second here as I try to get this pulled up. All right. Sorry about that. So, a lot of players that come to mind. Derek Fisher, first of all, who's actually been getting the majority of the starts I should say leading off the game in the number 1 spot. He's actually played very well. He's fallen off a little bit the last few days, but he made an immediate impact. The Oakland A series, which I did mention earlier, didn't really get into a lot of. They did sweep it. He had a very crucial home run in Friday's game that gave him the lead. You know, he's always a speed threat when he's on the bases. Not Miles Straw-like, but he is a fast, can steal some bags. If he can get on base, that's the key. He's definitely got some pop, as we've seen in the past. I believe he's hitting 250 going into today. Let me see if I can pull up this lineup and get you some numbers. He's actually moved down now to 231. So like I said, falling off a little bit, but he does look better overall. Bregman's hitting 272, Reddick 312, Gurriel 253, Alvarez's first game. Jack Mayfield is a guy hitting .063. He's had 2 hits. His very first at bat, he hit a double and hit his first major league home run on Thursday, part of that crazy 14-8-7 victory over the Mariners. So he's struggled mightily. Those 2 hits is it. Miles Straw hitting 261. If he can just get on base, he drew a walk today, struck out. But if he can get on base, that's huge for us, for him to get on base, because he is a guy that can turn walks into doubles very quickly, singles into doubles, triples. In fact, he hit a big triple to break the walk. He got driven home on a sac fly. Going back to Thursday's game against the Mariners, he hit a big triple. Yuli hit a sac fly. So, I mean, his speed kills. So that's where he's most effective. So getting him on base is key. Trying to think who else here. So Yordan Alvarez is going to be up here. He's going to get a lot of at-bats at DH, so you won't see a lot of Tyler White. He'll also play some first base, which is Tyler White. In those circumstances, I think they'd move Yuli to third, Bregman over to short, so Mayfield would be the odd man out there when Yordan plays first. And also they set some time in left field. Got all these outfielders, so a lot going on here. Let's think here. So Marisnik, Garrett Stubbs is a guy. He hasn't played a whole lot. I think his average 235 as I look at it right now. He hasn't played a lot, so there's not a lot there. He did have a double, single to start his major league career. He also threw out a base runner. So from a catching standpoint, there's a lot more that goes into just offensive production, which is something I usually look at. But Garrett Stubbs, not a whole lot, but I mean, he was replacing Max Stassi. There's not a whole lot to replace there when you're replacing him. So as long as he can catch and work well with our pitchers, offense is going to be a secondary type of thing, at least in my eyes, the way I see it. So, but I'm forgetting one of our outfielders. I mean, you got Reddick, you got Marisnik. I talked about Miles Straw, Derek Fisher. I said Jack Mayfield, Garrett Stubbs. That might be it. I don't know. But I mean, I talked about Fisher, talked about Stubbs, I talked about Miles Straw. They're all doing okay. I mean, it's hard to replace people like Altuve, Springer, Correa, but they're working with what they got, and they played really well. So I can't put a whole lot of stock in this Orioles series when it comes to pitching, just because they're not that good. I mean, you're not facing a very good team. And you play Milwaukee, who is a formidable team, I should say. for 2. So that'll be a quick 2-game set, Tuesday, Wednesday, to see kind of where the team's at, I guess. Toronto then comes to town. They're not very good. Then we'll hit the road, Cincinnati, New York. Sort of getting ahead of myself, but that's kind of what the schedule looks like. 45-22 is the record. I believe that's good enough to give them a 9.5 game lead in their division. So Rangers second, but they're far back. So no issues when it comes to division. I believe Minnesota is trying to get you some other records here. So New York is 40-24. Tampa Bay is also 40-24. So they're tied for the top there in the AL East. Minnesota's 43-21. In fact, we have the exact same winning percentage at .672. Of course, we played 3 more games than them. So we have off days coming up, which is definitely needed. And then in the National League, LA is the only one. They actually do have the best record, 45-21 of anybody so far. So LA leads the way when it comes to just best record in all of baseball, and then we're tied with Minnesota for second. So dealing with a lot. If I, give you a starter sort of breakdown, Verlander, who deserved a win on Thursday, is 9-2, ERA 2.60, I believe, if I read that correctly earlier. Let's see here. Garrett Cole is down to. Let's see. This is going to take a second. So, Garrett Cole on Friday pitched 7 innings. He threw like 116 pitches with the bullpen the way it was, and having, those off days, so he's not going to pitch for a full 2 extra off days. The 6 off days he'll have, they could have worked him, and he brought the ERA all the way down here. Let's see, Perez, like I said earlier, got the win there, but he's down to 3.72. So you got Verlander, who's 9-2 with a 2.60. Garrett Cole, who is 5-5 with 3.72. Valdez, ERA is actually very nice at, let's see, Harris got the loss in that Saturday game, but Valdez, a lot of he has only had 1 start, which was the last one. He's 2-2, 2.73 ERA, which is good. Wade Miley, 3.14. He's like 6-3 now. And yeah, that's correct. And then Peacock, who will pitch on Tuesday, is 5-3 with a 3.20. So overall, the rotation's good. There's still big questions with Valdez in that 3 spot, so let's just kind of wait and see. He's getting the chance now. And Josh James has been better in the bullpen, so I know he wasn't able to close out the game today. But overall, I like, his throwing consistently 99, which is a blur for a lot of hitters. But he's looked better. So, when it comes to bullpen, Gudwan out of the situation is nice, I should say. I have the issues with the Rondon, but I've almost learned to live with him. It's frustrating when he goes out there because we're on the brink of mediocrity every time he is, but just got to live with it. So, and of course, Presley Harris has struggled a little bit, so I'm thinking Josh James might get some outings there to bridge the gap to Presley and Osuna. Presley's been a little shaky. Osuna's okay. I think he's 17 for 19 in 20s, or 17 to 19. 17 for 19 and save opportunities, so he's fine. Perez, I'm going to like seeing him. I think he'll actually stay on this team for a while. Alvarez, we'll see what he does. He's hitting right in the middle of the order, so I know I kind of flip-flopped there, but I was talking strictly bullpen. Harris, like I said, a little concerning. Trying to think who else here I'm missing, but I know I'm missing a few, but all in all, the bullpen's okay. These days off are really going to help, so I think they'll be fine. I think the only issue for us is going to be finding a way to generate offense. So if we can do that, I think we'll be okay. But I'll go ahead. I'm up, in 25 minutes, so I'll wrap things up there, and we'll talk to you next week. See you then.